everybody. How's it going?
Going great.
Hey. Oh, I think I'm over here. Okay,
I think
very
you
good.
are.
Okay. Well, welcome to my home. I'm Dr. Mark Hatala, and these are my wonderful students. And today we're going to be talking about conflict in relationships and what are healthy ways to resolve arguments. But why don't we start with introductions? If we could start over here.
Hey, I'm Maddy.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm Annie.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Will.
Very good. So all relationships have conflict. And so I thought we can open it up to how do you guys handle disagreements in relationships? Or what are healthy strategies that you can use?
I'll go first.
Please,
I
thank you,
think communication is like the biggest thing because I think you need to communicate specifically what is making you upset and like why you're upset, why the other person's upset, like that sort of thing. I also think doing your best not to like yell at each other or scream at each other, because that can just escalate things like insanely and can just make things so much worse. So I think just like communication and being like very like civil, mature about it, like try not to like get too much. But I also think that there's some benefit in when there's like a conflict kind of cooling down before you talk about it, because sometimes you can get mad about something and then you kind of think about it for a little bit and you're like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal or something. So I think cooling down before it can help like diffuse things a little bit quickly.
Yeah. Building off of her like communicating, I think to be a good communicator, you also have to be a good listener. And so like I know in some of my past relationships that haven't worked, while I am been like communicating, the other individual maybe necessarily hasn't been active listening. And then like the next time something similar to that issue comes up, I'm like, we've talked about this before. And they're like, what? No, you've never said this. And I'm like,
that's called stonewalling.
It's called
and
gaslighting.
Well, it's much more common in men where they just tune it out and then you're like, we've talked about this.
Yeah, so that is along with the communicating, you need to be an active listener and a good listener, because you can't communicate without listening.
If I could mention this too, what they do in counseling is they have you repeat back what the other person said, so that make sure that you understand what was said. Other thoughts?
Yeah,
Well,
I feel like also I agree with like the space. What I commonly do, as long as it's like within reason, I'll go just for like a short drive to the gas station and sit there and think about it. You know, also like not just think about what, you know, how upset you are at the other person, but think, what did I do to ask? Because it is a two-way street. If there's an argument, at the very least, you did continue it. So, you know, that's what I'll do is, you know, like go to the gas station, maybe even, get them like a small piece of candy or something. You come back and you just say, I'm sorry.
here's my offering. This is a piece of
Well, yeah, and it is kind of, but it's just like, so you like, arguing's gonna happen. And I knew a couple that was married and they don't have a great marriage and they're like, we never fought before we're married. It's like, yeah, that's a problem. You should. Like, anybody that says that fighting before you're married is a bad thing is wrong, because you should be able to understand, like, when you're dating someone, if you can fight and get over it, and work past it, that's a good sign. And I think that, and it is also not just thinking about what you did, but why did they react the way they did? Did something happen that day? And it's just, it's being empathetic, because if you're not going to be empathetic, regardless if it wasn't your fault or not, if you're not going to be empathetic, then that's your problem too, that's your fault. So I think like just taking time and just getting away for a minute too can do wonders for the other person too, because it's I guess the old saying that time makes love, what is it, distance makes the heart grow fonder. Yeah. And sometimes that's just going to the gas station, that distance. But it's that time, just to defuse, because there's nothing good is going to come out of just sitting there, And, you know, even if the arguments ended, it's just going to be that hostile environment. You know, you can feel the seething between you and the other person. It's like, what is that doing other than not great
kind
stuff?
of building
Ashley,
off of
please.
that, though, I think a really key thing with arguments is kind of delineating them into two pragmatic categories. So there are the arguments that are chronic, you know, the ones that will happen over and over again. So it's like when they don't do the dishes every day and it just like, it's not that big a deal, so you like ignore it for a while, but like it continues to bother you. Like those arguments, like even though they're small, you need to have them, because if you avoid it, it will become a big argument. Like don't wait on the little chronic ones. But then
Can I say one thing about that? Is I have a colleague who, what she tells her students is, don't make roommate issues relationship issues. And I think that's kind of one where, like, if you like the dishes to be done and they don't, that's a roommate issue rather than a but it could become a relationship issue. But I'm sorry, go ahead. And then the other side.
No, but sure, because like there are little chronic ones like that, and then there are big one-time ones, you know, or like things that you may like blow out of proportion, or things that are like one-time things. And I think those are the things that you benefit a little bit more from, like taking a minute to cool off and taking a minute to organize your thoughts, because those are the things that like may affect you more but may not be predictors of like going to cause problems later. And so dealing with those arguments with tact and with precision, so that way you're not making it into something that it's not, is important. And I think those are the ones where like you might need to like take a couple minutes on and like breathe and like use your I say statements, because I think that those are the ones that have the potential to become chronic problems, when really they might just be one thing that you just keep bringing up forever, you know.
Or they could be relationship ending conflicts, and they don't necessarily
But
have
I think
to
that
be.
that is another big thing, is I think that if you hit a problem, you know, where it's like a big thing that happened or that is happening, you know, and you don't want to talk about it because you're afraid that if you have that conversation, if you have that argument, that it's going to end the relationship. I feel like the relationship is already kind of over. Like if you are scared that that having an argument, if you can't argue with your partner because you think that an argument will break you, that's not a place you should be in, because any relationship, like Will said, has argument, and like you're gonna have to compromise on things. And if you feel like anything that you say, like if you feel like you have to walk on eggshells in order to not break up, then like you probably should break up.
But sometimes there's a lot of mitigating factors too.
That's
so
true.
It can be difficult. Zach, what's your thoughts?
I don't remember the last time I had a fight with my significant other. I also don't remember what I had for breakfast, so it could be that. But if I get mad, or if she gets mad, we just like talk about our feelings and what we're feeling that way. And then I take a nap, and by the time I wake up, I'm over it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Time and
that's
distance
it for me,
again.
basically.
Okay.
Honestly, naps are also a good thing too. I've done that a couple of times. Sometimes a nap can do wonders.
You just gotta sleep on it.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
Although there's a line in the Bible that says, "Don't let the sun go down on your anger."
Well, then I will make sure to take that nap before the sun goes
I was just about
down.
to say, well, what happens if you take that nap during the day, you know?
Yeah,
What if
well,
it's like a 12 to 1 kind of nap?
Yeah, there's no sun going down there.
No, this is a fair
It's
point.
rising still.
Other thoughts,
I
Ashley?
forgot it. It was something about not going to bed angry, and how that's not a very good advice. Take care of yourself. Like I feel like a lot of like long-term relationship conflicts are actually just personal conflicts. Like if you're mad at anybody in your life, not just your SO, like drink some water, eat some food, check to make sure that you've like slept in the last 24 hours, and then reassess whether or not you're tired or you were just hungry,
Right.
you know, or whether or not you're angry or you were just hungry or tired, you know.
Well, actually, and we can end on this too, is there's a line from Chris Rock, which I think is absolutely true. Well, Chris Rock is he's like a philosopher in many ways. He says you always have to realize you're on the same team, you know, and that like if your significant other gets a promotion, that's not like where you're a failure. That is a win for the team. And so a lot of conflict, as long as you realize you're all working towards the same future, and then it can be good.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you're
Please.
like sleep deprived, you should keep track of that and correct your behavior. Because like that's your own problem. You don't have to take it out on them.
That's true too. But some people enjoy conflict though too. It's if you've ever been in one of those TNT relationships where TNT loves drama, and so I've certainly been where I have to talk somebody down because they think I'm talking to other people. So, but we don't need to get into that. So that's how we think that we should resolve conflicts. But we'd be interested in your thoughts on resolving conflict in relationships. And if you could leave that in the comments, and we'd ask you to like and subscribe and have a wonderful day. Very good. Oh my God, I almost started talking about my relationships.
Oh,
Not good.
oh no.
One rule.